Imagine having everything, the most powerful position in the world, an empire stretching from the cold shores of Britain to the burning sands of the Middle East. Armies that answered only to you, wealth beyond calculation, a name that made kings bow and nations tremble. Now imagine that with all of that, with every external thing a human being could possibly desire, the thing you cared about most was something no one could see, the thing that happened inside your mind. That was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome from 161 to 180 AD. The most powerful man on earth, and a man who spent every single day of that power fighting a battle that had nothing to do with armies or borders or political rivals. He was fighting to master himself. And the journal he kept during that fight, private notes he never intended anyone to read, written in a military tent on the edge of the known world, became one of the most widely read books in human history. We call it the Meditations. And 2,000 years after it was written, people in every country on earth still read it and feel, somehow, that it was written directly to them. Why? What did this emperor understand about the human mind that still speaks so powerfully across so many centuries? That is what we are going to find out today. Marcus Aurelius was born in 121 AD into a wealthy and influential Roman family. He was not born emperor. He was not even born expecting to become emperor. But when he was a teenager, the Emperor Hadrian noticed something in him: a seriousness, a depth, a quality of character that was unusual in a boy of his age and his privilege. He was adopted into the imperial line, groomed for power, given the best teachers in the empire, and from a very young age, he threw himself into philosophy, not as an academic exercise, not as a way to impress others with his learning, but as a way of life, a daily practice of becoming better. He discovered Stoicism, and it changed everything. Stoicism taught him something that would become the foundation of everything he believed and everything he tried to do. It taught him the dichotomy of control, the simple, devastating, liberating idea that some things are within our power and some things are not, and that almost all human suffering comes from confusing the two. What is within our power? Our thoughts, our judgments, our responses, our values, the way we choose to interpret what happens to us, the effort we bring to what we do, the character we decide to embody. What is not within our power? Everything else. The behavior of other people, the outcomes of our efforts, the weather, our reputation, whether we are praised or criticized, whether fortune favors us or destroys us, whether we live long or die young. Most people spend most of their energy on the second category, trying to control things that cannot be controlled, worrying about outcomes they cannot guarantee, building their sense of security on foundations that can be swept away at any moment. Marcus Aurelius decided to do the opposite. He decided to invest everything, every drop of his attention, his discipline, his philosophical effort, in the only thing that was truly his inner life, his mind. And he did this not in a monastery, not in a philosopher's study, not in comfortable circumstances designed for reflection and growth. He did it as emperor of the most complex political entity in the world. He did it while managing wars, plagues, famines, political betrayals, and the endless human drama of an empire of millions. He did it while grieving the deaths of children, managing the treachery of advisors, and enduring a body that was increasingly failing him. He did it in the middle of everything, and that is what makes him extraordinary. The Meditations are not a polished philosophical treatise. They are not written for an audience. They are raw, personal, sometimes repetitive, sometimes almost desperate. They are a man arguing with himself, reminding himself of principles he knew but kept forgetting, pushing himself to be better in the next hour than he was in the last one. He wrote things like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." These are not the words of a man who had it figured out. They are the words of a man who was fighting for it every single day, who woke up every morning and had to remind himself all over again of the things he believed, because the pull of distraction and reactivity and ego and comfort was just as strong for him as it is for anyone. And that is the first great lesson of Marcus Aurelius. Philosophy is not something you understand once and then possess forever. It is a practice, a daily discipline, a repeated return to what matters when the noise of the world pulls you away from it. He also understood something about anger and reaction that feels almost impossibly relevant today. He was emperor. He had absolute power. If someone insulted him, crossed him, failed him, betrayed him, he could have destroyed them. No one would have questioned it. It was expected. He chose not to. Not because he was weak, because he understood that his response to provocation was a choice, and that choosing anger, choosing retaliation, choosing to let the actions of others determine the state of his own mind, that was a surrender of the very thing he was trying to protect. He wrote, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" Think about your own life. Think about the last time you reacted with anger to a frustration, a criticism, a disappointment, someone's careless words. How long did the anger last? What did it cost you in energy, in clarity, in the quality of your thinking and your relationships? And then ask, what was the cause worth compared to the consequence? Marcus Aurelius asked himself this question constantly, not because he never felt anger, he clearly did, or he would not have needed to write about it so often, but because he had decided that his inner state was too valuable to hand over to every person and circumstance that might try to disturb it. He called this the inner citadel, the fortress of the mind that cannot be invaded without your permission. Other people can attack you, criticize you, disappoint you, betray you. They can reach your circumstances. They can reach your reputation. They can reach your body, but they cannot reach your inner citadel unless you open the gate. And the gate is your judgment, your choice about how to interpret what is happening, your decision about what meaning to give to events. This is not denial. Marcus Aurelius was not telling himself that bad things were good. He was not performing a false positivity that pretended difficulties did not exist. He was saying something much more powerful, that the meaning of what happens to us is not fixed by the event itself. It is assigned by us. And we have more power over that assignment than we usually exercise. Now let us talk about the plague. During Marcus Aurelius's reign, the Roman Empire was devastated by one of the worst pandemics in ancient history, the Antonine Plague. It killed millions of people. It swept through the army, through the cities, through every corner of the empire. Estimates suggest that at its height, it was killing 2,000 people a day in Rome alone. Marcus Aurelius could not stop it. He could not cure it. He could not protect the people he was supposed to protect from a disease that medicine at the time did not understand. He watched the empire suffer in a way that was beyond his power to prevent. And he kept going. He kept administering. He kept making decisions. He kept writing in his journal. He kept practicing philosophy, not because he was immune to the weight of it, but because he had a framework, a deeply internalized way of engaging with what cannot be changed, that allowed him to continue functioning, to continue caring, to continue doing what good he could do, even in the face of what he could not fix. He wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." Love the people with whom fate brings you together. In the middle of a plague, in the middle of wars, in the middle of a life that was, by any measure, enormously difficult, he kept returning to love, to connection, to the recognition that the people around him, even the difficult ones, even the enemies, even the strangers, were part of the same human fabric that he was part of. This is the final great lesson of Marcus Aurelius, and it may be the most surprising given how we think of Stoicism. Stoicism is sometimes misunderstood as cold, as a suppression of feeling, as a kind of emotional armoring that keeps the world at a safe distance. Marcus Aurelius was not cold. He was warm, deeply, genuinely warm. He grieved, he loved, he cared about people with a specificity and a tenderness that comes through even in the compressed, private notes of his journal. What he had mastered was not the absence of feeling, it was the direction of feeling. He had trained himself to feel less of the things that degraded him: anger, resentment, self-pity, the desperate hunger for approval, and more of the things that elevated him: gratitude, wonder, compassion, the genuine pleasure of doing difficult work well. He was, in the truest sense, a man who had conquered his mind, not by emptying it, by filling it deliberately and consistently with what was worth having. He died in 180 AD on campaign near the Danube, far from Rome. He was 58 years old. He had been emperor for 19 years. He left behind an empire that, by most measures, was better for his having led it. And he left behind those private notes, those arguments with himself, those daily reminders of how to live that have outlasted the empire by 2,000 years. What would Marcus Aurelius say to you today? He would say, "You have more power over your mind than you are using." He would say, "Stop giving other people the authority to determine the state of your inner life." He would say, "The obstacle in front of you is not a reason to stop, it is the path forward." He would say, "Waste no more time on who you should be it." And then he would pick up his pen and write it to himself one more time, just to make sure he did not forget. Because even the man who conquered his mind knew that the conquest was never final. It was renewed, every single day, just like yours can be, starting today.